And I have been in the food service and hospitality industry for over 20 years. I used to work in food manufacturing, and then got my degree in culinary arts. Then I worked in research and development for ConAgra for a couple of years. And then I decided to get out there and actually cook for a living. So I worked at a few restaurants. And in the meantime, I was picking up clients. So for my personal chef service, and that's what I do today. I am a personal chef, so I teach classes such as you're seeing here, and I also cater events, so do in-home meal replacement for ongoing clients. And it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you so much. Can you just describe when you say in-home replacements, can you elaborate on that?
Okay, so you're probably familiar with companies like Seattle Sutton or Nutrisystem. I do that for my private clients, but on a much more personal level. So I literally come into their space, into their home, prepare their meals that they need for the week, package as needed. Some want, the individually packaged meals, weighed and perfectly balanced. And some people just want like more of a family style type packaging. And then they're good to go for the week. So that's what I mean by in-home meal replacement. I come in the home.
Oh, okay, perfect. That sounds good. Well, I see that we do have some more guests. Lottie West, Monica Kinslow, Johnny Williams. Welcome, everyone. So just want to throw a question out there, and you can either answer in the chat box or you can unmute yourself. Just want to get an idea of what do you think about Southern cooking? Like, what comes to mind when you hear that term? What do you think about? I think about canned sweet potatoes and greens and let's see, chicken. So that's what comes to my mind. Miss Monica, what do you think about?
Oh, I think about, fried chicken and sweet potatoes and greens and just stuff that tastes good and that make you feel good.
All right, thank you. And I see Lottie mentioned in the chat soul food. All right, let's see. Johnny Williams, what comes to mind to you when you hear the term Southern cooking?
Oh, just good food. Good food.
Good food.
And I'll give you an example. The first time I went, no, not the first time, I went south with my parents, and they cooked up a breakfast for me. I'm expecting, bacon, eggs, and grits or something. They had pork chops. They had all kind of stuff. I said, "Oh, this is breakfast for you guys." Okay.
Okay.
I said, okay, and it was unusual for me, but I ate it. It was good. But so it's really like good food, filling food. I'm not saying it's the best food in the world, but it's the tastiest food in the world.
Okay, sounds good. I'm gonna thank you so much. Michelle, I know you said you're not using a headset, so I'm not sure if you want to put your response in the chat box. What does Southern cooking mean to you, or what do you think about when you hear it? And all right, mac and cheese. All right. Miss Yolanda, what about you?
All of the above.
All the above. You're gonna check that box where it says D, all the above.
All of the above.
Good.
I love soul food. My favorite meal to eat turkey necks, sweet potatoes, greens, cornbread.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. And Miss Michelle, she had to put the little cherry on top. She said sleeping after you eat. So all those things are really what comes in my mind as well. But fortunately, we are on the path of knowing that we can still continue with great food and really good food selections when we plan our menu, and also things that will definitely lead us to the journey and continuing on the journey of health and wellness. So that's where this session will definitely be so beneficial to us, because we're going to embark upon really great food, and you'll see Chef Karen prepare in such a way that it's going to be not only good for your taste buds, but definitely good for your body. So I am going to turn it over to Miss Dale. Again, my name is Lynette. I am the Director of Community Engagement for Advocates for Community Wellness, and I'm also the owner of LKC Health and Wellness and LKC Spa Spectacular. So I really appreciate being a part of this team. I've learned a lot, and I am so grateful that you all have joined us this morning. So Dale, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Lynette. And later on in the conversation, when we have our mealtime discussion, which is going to be on social, psychological, and emotional mental wellness, this is the perfect day for it. So as you guys can see, is that I'm airing from a new location. We're using the Primo Center Community Kitchen and classroom, and Karen is also will be joining as well. We're shooting from the same location. And since we're well into the presentation, I'm just going to speed down through my introductory slides about advocates. I believe there was maybe a name or two that may be new to the group, and we're advocates for community wellness. We're a nonprofit, a faith-based, holistic wellness, health promotion, and nutrition education ministry without walls. You will be getting the slides, so you'll see the background information on it. But our mission is to improve eating habits for healthier lifestyle, increase longevity, and a better quality of life. So whatever the life is right now, we want it better. You know, it's like income. We always want a higher income, better income. And so, as well as what our quality of life, and so that we can use it to the fullest. Information, we're going to do a quick, maybe 10-second introductory of our presenters. And we just want to share the background with you for the newcomers. This information being provided is intended for informational and educational purpose only. We do record our Zoom, but you have the autonomy to turn your mic and your camera on and off at your will. Okay, I'm Del Cain. I'm going to be your moderator today. And I believe I know most of you can do a screenshot. You can take a little bit about my background. I'm going to start off with a biblical reference, and it will help us to lead into our mealtime discussion, which read, do not, we all may be familiar with this, Matthew 6 through 30, 31 through 33. Do not be, I'm just going to change my screen here for a moment. Do not worry. So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? The pagan run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Okay, so I thought that was very fitting, and I really didn't need to hear that this morning. Okay, and so Karen, do you want to?
Hello, everybody, and good morning. It is wonderful to be here with Dale. I'm Karen Carruthers. I'm the founder of Keystone Education Center and author of 2 books. So that's Karen's Exquisite Cuisine Cookbook and Winds of Change. I'm also a bilingual Spanish-speaking licensed nutritionist and consultant. I have a bachelor's in science from Fraser University and a master's from Lewis University. I teach food safety sanitation classes along with CPR and first aid. And it's just been a blessing to be a part of here, Dan, Annette, and all the chefs, Chef Aaron and Melissa. And it's just wonderful to see you guys here again. And this new location is wonderful and amazing. So I hope we learn a lot today. Thank you.
Okay. And so that leads us to let's cook and prepare a meal with Chef Karen. All righty. And this series in August, we're going to be focusing on Southern cuisine menu. And Chef Karen, do you want to go ahead and lead?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So as Dale said, the theme for August is Southern cuisine. And of course, it's going to be not exactly the way you may be accustomed to it. The same ingredients kind of arranged in a different way or prepared slightly differently. So today we're having, I'm going to prepare for you black eyed pea stuffed collard greens and a spicy tomato sauce. So, you know, normally we would have black eyed peas and we'd have greens, but we wouldn't necessarily have them, you know, together in one dish. And then like a light dessert is peach, roasted peach compote with a coconut yogurt. So that's what I'm going to prepare for you. So here, I can't see myself here. Okay. So here I have in a pot is tomato sauce. This is just a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. And I'm going to add to that my spices, chili powder, onion powder, garlic powder, and cayenne pepper. So I'm just going to put the heat on like medium high, and let that simmer. And here you can see my pot. This large pot here, I have water that's been simmering for a while. And I have my collard greens. So these are, I picked through my bundle of collard greens, and these are, you know, the nicer ones, the ones that are intact. And then I removed the stem from the bottom. So I'm going to drop these into my hot water. Let that go for about 6 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer for 6. Okay, and then in the meantime, I'm going to work on the filling for those collard greens. So here, and I don't know what it is. I could not find black eyed peas anywhere, so I'm using pinto beans. So these are dried pinto beans. That's what I just wanted you all to see them. These aren't the ones I'll be using today, but that's what.
You know, that's been happening, Karen. I was doing a demo the other day, and it calls for purple cabbage, and the chef went to 3 stores and couldn't find the purple cabbage. It's really.
Well, I guess. Yeah, either, you know, our food service, our trucking delivery system is not back the way it was, as consistent, or people are just buying a lot of food these days. People are shopping more, I think.
Yeah. Stocking up.
Stocking up,
Mhm.
yeah, at home,
Yeah.
which is good. That's a
Karen
good-
was saying.
Yeah, especially the dry goods. Yeah, dry goods. Yeah.
And so this is a reminder for the audience. This is a reminder for the audience. If you have a question, want to ask the chef, please put it in the chat and we will convey that to her. Because we want the session to be engaging and interactive.
Absolutely. Okay, so here I have, I soaked, my intention was to soak these overnight, which is the old school method. But there are two methods to hydrate or prepare your beans for cooking. And one is the old school overnight method. So you want to always pick through your dried beans. Every once in a while, you might see a pebble or a stone. You might see a little bit of dirt. So you want to rinse them well, and then put them in a bowl or pot and cover it with water, and cover it, and then just let it sit overnight. That's the slower method. So this is the quicker method. What you can do is put your beans in a pot covered with water, and about an inch over the water, because those beans are going to swell. You put it on the stove, bring it to a boil, a hard boil, for about 3 minutes. Turn it off, cover it, and let it sit for an hour. So that's what I have here in front of you is my beans. So I'm going to drain these. While that's draining, I'm going to my skillet. And skillet, I have just a little bit of coconut oil. I'm cooking with coconut oil today. And the recipe doesn't call for this, but I'm taking privilege and I'm adding a little bit of onion because I think that will add some flavor. Onion is like your base, your foundation for a lot of sauteing and cooking your vegetables, soups, stews, skillets, what have you. And I'm chopping them kind of fine here. And then I'm also going to add my mushrooms. So I chopped most of these, but I thought I'd chop some along with you for you to see. And it's good to have your collard greens are steamed. Just gonna turn that off real quick. And it's important to have your vegetables at approximately the same size. The mushrooms are a little larger than my onion, but mushrooms do tend to kind of cook down rather quickly. So that shouldn't be too big of a problem. I'll just do a little rough chop over all of this really quickly. Add that to my pan.
Karen, I was
Yes.
saying that we have a good angle of your skillet today. Are you trying a new angle?
Yeah, I'm just angling it a little bit. So yeah, it's I'm using my phone because I want to be able to move from the kitchen to the dining room later. So
Oh, okay.
so I guess I'm getting better, a little bit better at this.
I'll tell you, my skills are growing in technology, and
Well, and it
and
keeps
it wouldn't
changing on
have.
us. You'll learn it, and then something will change. So, but yeah, it's a beautiful thing when it works with us. So I'm just adding.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Sea salt, crushed red pepper. I just want these onions to cook down a little bit before I add my black-eyed peas. Now let's stir up my sauce to add Worcestershire. Now, I'd like to hear from our nutritionists on their opinion of using Worcestershire sauce versus liquid aminos. Any of our health professionals would have an opinion they'd like to share about that.
You're on mute.
So I heard your question, Karen. So I believe that, are you muted? Unmuted. Can you hear me, Karen?
I can hear you, but there's a little bit of a echo, but I can hear you.
Okay. So. That didn't happen. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, sometimes I know the two of you all are together. Sometimes if there's two devices too close together, you get that feedback.
Yeah, so to answer your question, the difference that I know off the top of my head, and I would have to really look at both the bottles and the ingredient labels, would be the sodium content. I do actually like the liquid aminos. They give a nice flavor to the food. And Worcestershire sauce is also a good substitute, but off the top of my head, again, the sodium content would probably make a big difference with the two. And it just depends on how you like your food with the flavor profile. You might want to try one and then try the other and see which one you like over the other.
Okay, all right. I thought it was sodium was in play there. I was just thinking it was, you know, the aminos would be a cleaner choice for sure.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for enlightening us. So here I have a little bit of the smaller greens. I'm chopping them up really, really finely. And I remember my very first in-home client, I was cooking greens for her, and I tore the greens and put them in the pot, and I didn't chop the greens. So, this was an older African-American woman, and she was, you know, just not able to cook anymore, but she sat in the kitchen with me and watched carefully everything.
Monitored.
So she was like, well, you know, those are collard greens. You're not supposed to tear collard greens. You're supposed to chop them in, she said, chiffonade. Now, I hadn't been to culinary school, but she was serious about, she was a serious foodie. And so a chiffonade is just, for those of you who don't know, I'll do it again. So it is just a strip coming across, and you can have a chiffonade of basil, anything in a leaf. Chiffonade. So, but she kind of knocked me off my square when she said chiffonade. I was like, where did she get? I mean, so just a little anecdote about my some of my conversations with people, clients about.
To add to that, Karen, Chef Karen, I would chop, you know, my greens. But then my mother, who she called the real senior, she's 80, she'll be 87, August the 16th, said that it's best to cook the greens whole leaf and then cut them. And so I started doing that, but I have some kitchen scissors that will, because that I pull them up with a tongue and then, you know, start cutting from the bottom. And I don't know the science behind it. Maybe it's something, you know, to research about. But I started doing that, just, and then it's easier, a little quicker, save a little time.
I know there is there's a special.
I think it's keeping the integrity of the nutrients while they're cooking.
Cooking it whole.
Yes, because each cut, you know, your food, your vegetable is going to bleed. They call it, you know, bleed, and you're exposing the nutrients and the oxidation. Yes, and so by keeping it whole, it's like it's being intact. So it have that little protective, and then after it's cooked, to chop. Yeah. So,
Does it taste different to you or
no, it doesn't really taste different. My greens taste good. It always tastes good. So, you know, I never really examined, but I do like it, and I do like the time with the prepping. It cuts down on the prepping.
But then you have to take
cut down on the prepping, not because I knew anything different.
They're completely cooked, and then you chop them.
Yes.
And
Does anyone else have any preference in cooking their greens? You can put it in the chat.
So when you chop them after you cook them, are you saying that you preserve the nutrients? The nutrients are preserved because you've cooked them first and then chopped them versus doing it the other way?
Now I'm using some logic, and I'll ask the food science. I do know one. But so when you cook something. It's just like, the more times something is cut, like your vegetable is being exposed, and the nutrients is actually, it's another term for it, but it's like bleeding out. So you're losing the nutrient and it's being more exposed. So when you're cooking, heat destroys. But when it's intact, the leaves are intact, it adds more of a little protective measure. And I'm just using logic on how that works. But I can do some research on that and get back to the group of the reasoning. But it makes logical sense for me.
Yeah, I'd like to know too, for sure.
So that's a theory, but you
Yes.
get some factual data for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my professional opinion.
Sticking with it. Okay.
This looks delicious, Chef Karen. That looks so good.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right. So now I have my steamed whole collard greens, and so I'm going to go ahead and
I love those collard greens. Boy,
Yeah,
it look like,
beautiful.
I don't know, they look really big on the picture.
put a little.
You're making it?
Oh, yeah. I'm making this.
But on the first screen, I showed a traditional Southern meal, with the beans and the greens. They're more individual. But this is the tweak, the modern day tweak.
It's like you're wrapping it like a burrito.
Mm-hmm.
Like a burrito, or I was sharing with my client yesterday who happens to be Polish. He said, well, that's like our gawonki. That's like our stuffed cabbage.
Yes.
I said,
Oh,
it kind
wow.
of is. So
But with beans.
everybody, well, I don't know if every culture has a stuffed something. I know, I always say everybody has some type of dumpling in their culture. I have to think about that. Does every culture have like a stuffed something?
Well, lasagna for, the Italians, it's stuffed with layers, and the stuffed poblano peppers for the Mexican culture. So there are, the Chinese have egg rolls. So, yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to interject just a time check. I have it's 11:39, and I know that we have some technical problems on our end. If people would give us, additional 10 minutes, if you're available to do that, that's fine. If not, we can. If you're doing the prepping right now for the presentation, we can move to the nutrition part.
Karen, you okay with that?
Is there another? Okay. And maybe you can just walk through with us for the peach. I think.
Yeah.
Peach. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So thank you for your flexibility.
Yeah. Thank you. Karen, what's your address? Because I need to come grab one of those.
I'm in an undisclosed location.
That's right.
So, did you want me to walk through the peach now? Or you want to go to
We can come back.
nutritionist Karen and then come back?
Yes.
We'll come back.
All right.
And
good. Okay, so back in the kitchen. So this is a roasted peach compote. So the inspiration for this dish is obviously peach cobbler, a favorite of that is my stove telling me it's up to temp. This is a little bit of a twist. So I thought it would be really cool to roast the peaches and then put them in a dish, and then I'm going to top them with soy yogurt or coconut yogurt. So, and I remember a time when those weren't easy to find. They were, you had to go to like some bougie store to get a non-dairy yogurt, but now other stores are starting to carry those. So I have just some fresh peaches. I'm leaving the skin on because I know that there are additional nutrients in the skin. So I just basically cut down the middle and gave it a little twist, almost like opening a avocado. And so I'm just gonna slice my peaches. Take this. And someone was just telling me about the cling-free peaches now, and I argue with them like, is this a GMO product or not? I'm not sure, but I guess there's certain peaches that the center doesn't cling to the pit. If anybody knows the skinny on cling peaches versus non-cling peaches, I would love to hear about that. And you can throw that in the chat.
Karen, we can't see the bowl that, okay.
You know,
Yeah, that's a
better?
little better. Thank you.
It's a little better. Okay, let me pull back a little bit. Okay, so to this, I'm gonna add some agave nectar. This is light agave nectar. It's lower in that lower glycemic index, and lower in carbohydrates. And then I have some ginger powder. Love ginger. I put that in my cobblers. Cinnamon. Nutmeg. And I'm just going to give it kind of a little toss. I want to kind of have this in one layer so that it cooks a little faster. Okay, so I'm gonna pop that in the oven.
Yeah.
And that should be done shortly. All right. Does anybody have any questions about the recipes or the preparation?
So how long do you cook the peach compote for?
So I'm giving it 20 minutes. I'm using my convection oven. So I'm actually probably I'm gonna check it in 15, actually. Because technically it should cook faster in, in a convection oven. So.
Thank you.
And this is all kind of a little bit of an experiment. So I'm trying something different. I've cooked like peach crumble, which is similar. So you would take where you would take fresh or frozen or canned peaches, and then add cornstarch and the seasonings and sugar, and then you would top it, put like a crumble topping, like with oats, brown sugar, a little butter, and sprinkle that on top, and then bake it. And that's longer. That usually goes for the same amount of time as a cobbler would, almost like 40 minutes. But I don't think this will take that long, because it's just the straight peaches in the pan, and I cut them, into kind of thin slices. It was about, I cut them into like 8ths or really 16ths for a whole peach. So.
Alrighty, I just want to highlight that today's cooking demonstration is sponsored by a grant from the Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation. I've been working with them for a couple of years, and they awarded Advocates for Community a grant so we can continue our cooking club. Okay. Next slide. Okay, and so this is a reminder for you, Chef Karen, is to take a photo of the completed meal. We want one with the meal, if you can position yourself, and as well with the meal separately. And so that
we're gonna do that over Zoom. No, you need me to do that.
So we can get different angles. It's going to be a multiple of things if we can get different angles of it. I like how you put it on your table and take one, but if you can take one with you in front of it, that'll be great as well. But it's just a reminder so we can capture that. Also, as a reminder is that for any of the participants that make any one of the recipes that you've been on, it could be a past one. If you take a picture of it and send it to me, you can make any comments or no comments, but your name would be entered in for a gift. We're going to do this through the third quarter, and I got a few entries already. So you can just start thinking about it, and if you get to start thinking about doing some of the recipes. Okay, and so.
Thank you so much for your patience, and we're just going to run through these slides. And what I did today was about legumes, since we are featuring. So I wanted to feature legumes since we were talking about the black-eyed peas, and then Chef Karen ended up using the pinto beans. So the learning objectives for today is learning about legumes and beans, high-protein vegetables, and the benefits of those legumes for mental clarity. So what is a legume? It is a type of food that comes from a specific type of plant that is also called a legume. Legumes come from the family of the Leguminosae, and a trait that all legumes share is that they grow in a type of pod, so like pea pods and bean pods. A bowl of pea soup is full of legumes, and so is a bag of peanuts. Lentils, soy, and clover are all legumes. They are high in protein and not very fatty, so they are generally considered healthy. All right, so what is some of the benefits of a legume? Benefits number one, they promote weight loss. Okay, I know. You can just go ahead. We'll just, I'm not going to read everything, but go ahead. Benefit number two is a healthy pregnancy. Okay, benefit number three of legumes and beans is nutrient absorption. They help with digestion and to have a better nutrient absorption from the body. Number 4, yeah, the benefits are they control diabetes, which is very good with that glycemic index, and that helps to control the sugar. Benefit number 5, it helps with anemia, which is because they are high in protein as well. And so it gives about 2.5 cups of milligrams of protein. Benefit number 6, strong bones. So it's helping to give that calcium from the legumes and beans. Benefit number 7, this is great because we're talking about mental health and social emotional health, boosts that brain health. So it helps with that. And then number 8, it prevents heart disease because they are rich in heart healthy benefits with lowering cholesterol and blood pressure. And that's good also because of the fiber. Kidney beans, all kinds of legumes and beans contain fiber. And then benefit number 9 is they improve digestion. So it helps to get that fiber in the stool and help eliminate, which we talked about a while ago. Elimination is a beautiful thing, and it helps to regulate your digestion. And then what are some sources of plant-based protein? Peanuts, lentils, kidney beans, black beans, lima beans, chickpeas, and peas themselves. They are all plant-based protein sources. Thank you guys so much for your patience and flexibility. Thank you.
Sharon and I were talking as we were planning for our session, and we just talked about just the temperature, if you would say, of the mood around psychological, emotional, and how there was so much intense things going on that being reported in the news. And I was personally sharing, I share, about, just things on edge, and it could be my mother or my husband asking me for something. It's like, it's like, and so, and I was saying that, we were thinking that it was just being cooped up and being confined and, not having our regular routine. And we're really over a year. So we thought that would be a great discussion to have on that. And so we wanted to just poll you guys, like, how are you socially, psychological, emotional? I'm going to turn to Karen because Karen was saying, like, Dale, it is a difference. I'm one way on a scale from 1 to 10 on social, and I'll let you go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so Dale is correct. We had a wonderful conversation last week, and basically we thought that taking the temperature of your mood also goes with the temperature of the food, so that we're cooking. But the temperature of your mood, we decided could not just be overall blanketed general, because I was telling Dale, like, socially, sometimes I don't feel like going out to be social, but mentally and emotionally, I feel great. I just want to spend some time alone. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then there's days where emotionally I'm down, and socially I might want to speak to somebody to cheer me up. Mentally, I might not have clarity, but socially and emotionally, I'm good. So they are in my opinion, 4 different distinct feelings or attitudes and moods. And so we are asking basically, what is your temperature psychologically, socially, mentally as well?
Anyone like to share? Kick off that discussion. Maybe we'll share 1 or 2 people's feelings about that and what's going on in your life. I know we have some takers out there. Go ahead.
This is Johnny Williams. And
hi, Johnny.
through this whole pandemic, I call it madness, but I also consider that this is God's way of testing us. I went into a kind of a slight depression, and I'm like, well, Johnny, ain't nothing you can do about it. They say stay in, you stay in. So what I did was, well, if I can stay in, but I can talk to people. And I have been a talking sister for the past 1.5 years. And what I did, I just talked to every friend, family, best friend, everybody.
Wow.
I would make it a point to call cousins across the country. My son, of course, and I were in touch because I couldn't be with my family and my grandkids. But I just made a point to call somebody every single day. But the one call I made was to a cousin in Fort Wayne. And, you know, we talked and we chatted. He says, Johnny, you're the only person that has checked on me. I said, oh, I ain't through yet now. I still got to talk. And I still do that. Even though many of my, I finally got my son and his family to take the vaccination because I could not be around them. And I had a conversation with my 13-year-old grandson. And I said, well, sweetie, you know, are you going to take the vaccination? He said, Grandma, well, I figure if I get the virus, I'll survive. And I said, grandson, but if I get the virus, I might not, because I'm one of them folks with the underlying conditions. He says, I didn't think about that. I said, well, think about it, which is why I cannot come around you right now. So we learned to communicate. Google Duo. I had never used it before. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. So I didn't get to be around them physically, but I always know how to pick up a phone.
Yes.
I learned how to Zoom. I have a 96-year-old aunt, a 96-year-old auntie in Bloomington. Her retirement facility, they do Skype. I Skype with them at least once or twice a month, her and her daughter. So I had you know, you can't go to funerals. I lost a 70-year-old cousin. They did a graveside Skype, Zoom connection for us for his services. And I thought, this is beautiful. So I think for me, communications has gotten me through all this. Every time I bump into, I get more excited. So, oh, we can do this, huh? So I just found communication, no matter what vehicle I used, has gotten me through this. Okay.
Yes. And that's that social piece that kind of helped. That social piece looks like it helped balance your psychological, emotional, and mental health, and that's great. And once that one is in balance, you know, the rest of them can come in alignment as well.
Yeah. So, is there another person would like to share one aspect of how they're doing and what they're doing to balance it out? Now, I know I've always learned everybody got a story. Everybody got a story to tell. So can we hear from another person? Shall we get our social engagement director? Which she did an excellent job in engaging you guys in February. It's like being a teacher calling on somebody.
I'll just volunteer and say that it helped me to get out and take walks every day. And I would do it first thing in the morning, early in the morning. I mean, I did that just about every day. It was just, it really felt good emotionally, mentally. Yesterday, went on a bike ride and it just felt so freeing. And so, because there are a lot of concerns that I have on my mind right now. Not just the pandemic, but other concerns, health issues. And so it just really just, it felt freeing just to get out and ride the bike or take the walk. It really helped.
Yeah, I call that psychological sunshine. And that is so important, and it's just changed the mood. I know one thing that I did is that I took up gardening. It's just container garden, and just caring for, because when you're out there and you're pulling weeds, you're so focused on that, it takes you away from just everyday thing that you may be going through and with your emotions. And so that has really helped me. But I think I was sharing with you, Cain, if not someone else, my garden this year, it didn't turn out so great like my first time, which was last year, but I haven't given up. I know my arugula, I planted 3 times, you know, it was like I'm determined to get that arugula growing. Yes.
This year has been really trying, but I will not give up either.
Yeah.
I will bear fruit.
And there must be some in the rain because my weed is the dandelion. I know we were talking about that they're just growing like 4 feet. No, not 4 feet, but at least 2 or 3.
That's still pretty
Yeah,
high.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like how one emotion can lead into another. And at the same time, not all emotions can affect each other, but they can affect each other, or I think we as humans have the ability to compartmentalize as well, and balance ourselves and bring ourselves back to balance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So before we move on, are there any? Okay. Before we move on, anyone else want to make a last minute comment? And you
Okay,
can always put it in the chat.
okay, this is Johnny Williams again. Got to tell you how I garden, and I started trying to grow in the ground, but the ground I was growing in, they determined was contaminated with lead and whatever else has been in the city. So I only grow in containers. And when I say I grow in containers, I grow collards, I grow tomatoes, I grow whatever I think I want to grow. But the one thing you have to do is talk to your plants. I go out every morning and have a chat with my plants, and I'm apologizing.
So you try.
I may be apologizing because I didn't come out and border you, and I'm saying, "Oh, look at you, you're gorgeous." Now my neighbors kind of thought, "Oh, Johnny talks to her plants," but then I had another neighbor said she couldn't grow nothing. Then she said, "Well, Johnny said talk," so I've been talking ever since. She said that plant grew, and there's some scientific evidence that the sound vibrations affect the plants. So I have a conversation with my plants every morning, even if I don't talk to nobody else. I talk to my plants. So keep that in mind. You need to talk to that arugula, okay?
Okay, as you bring that up, last year I talked more to them.
See?
This year I'm just saying how awful it was. Awful. When we got that frost after it was late in May. Someone told me plan after Mother's Day, which I did. And then later on, like 1 or 2 weeks, we got a frost. Yeah. And I was like, how awful. And they were awful.
You have when
thank you for sharing.
When the frost comes, just cover them with plastic. They'll be all right. But you gotta protect them.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. We appreciate your feedback very much, and we value your opinion. So on our website, we created a page for comments, and so you just go to A4CW.org/comments and give us a comment, about, it could be about anything. If you think of something about that social, psychological and emotional and mental health, something that resonate with you, just put a comment. Everything is confidential. It states that if you want to call back, we will call you back and explore the conversation. Because once again, we're here building a community of our friends, our families, our neighbors, colleagues, and supporting one another. And it is going to continue and go beyond the COVID-19 pandemic. And so, any closing remarks from anyone? And it's just a recap of information. You can take a screenshot. I'm adding a tag to our Eat Well Cooking Club for Better Health. And down at the bottom, it reads, "It's more than cooking, it's a lifestyle." And I hope that you really see that. And most of you, all of you have always said that you value the content within our program. And so just want to remind you of the dates. Our next session is going to be on August the 19th. On the 19th, we're actually going to have the social, psychological, mental health. We're going to have a guest speaker, a Dr. Christopher Howard. He's a clinical psychologist, and he's also a board member on Advocates for Community Wellness. And we want to thank you for joining us today. And I know my time is up, and we thank you for yours.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
See you next week.